here's the problem. The FDA has come out with these new regulations, and we will include these in the program description so people can read them for themselves. The document is called Homeopathic Drug Products Guidance for FDA Staff and Industry. The FDA is claiming now that all homeopathic products are illegal, and therefore the FDA can remove any product when they want to. So why all of a sudden are homeopathic products illegal? So here's the rundown. This is what this document says. Any homeopathic drug that has not been declared GRAS is considered a new drug. So you remember, Joel, our old friend GRAS, right?
Yep.
So we've got to do a show on GRAS so people really get what that means. But that's basically if the drug hasn't been declared as generally recognized as safe by some quote unquote expert, then it is considered to be a new drug. Okay. Point number 2, FDA has not determined that any homeopathic drugs are GRAS. Okay. So if the homeopathic drug, and they keep calling them drugs, all right, instead of homeopathic remedies, they're doing this intentionally. In the document, these are homeopathic drugs. So any homeopathic drug that has not been declared GRAS is considered a new drug. And then the FDA says, well, they haven't determined any homeopathic drugs so far to be GRAS. So now they're all new drugs. Okay. Then it says point 3, a new drug cannot be marketed unless it goes through the FDA's approval process. And point 4, no homeopathic drugs have gone through FDA approval. So the bottom line is all homeopathic products are now illegal. And according to the FDA's new guidelines, and I quote, any homeopathic drug product that is being marketed illegally is subject to FDA enforcement action at any time. So they're now declaring them they're illegal because they're new drugs that have not been determined GRAS, and there are none that are GRAS. And so now they have to go through the FDA's new drug approval process. So, and they're going to do this slowly. This is going to be, like we say, death by 1,000 cuts. All right. They're going to target and eliminate one homeopathic remedy or one group of homeopathic remedies at a time. And that's strategic. If they do it one at a time, if it doesn't affect a large group at one time, you're not going to see all the uprising, right? It's not going to draw as much attention, so it won't generate as much pushback. But what's going to happen is, as they slowly target one section at a time, it's going to put those companies out of business. So your ability to procure or to buy these remedies is slowly being banned, because businesses that make those products and that sell those products, they will go out of business. Slowly but surely, they'll go out of business. You won't be able to find them anymore. And in fact, the FDA has already announced that it's going to focus on just a few product categories for enforcement. Okay. So I'm going to read you from this document the categories that they're going to enforce initially. And let me read you the first paragraph under FDA's enforcement policy, and then we'll go through the categories that are going to be enforced. And you can just see how overarching this is going to be. I mean, the tentacles are going to spread far, but they've already picked certain categories to demonize that are going to cover a lot of products. Okay. So here's what they say under their enforcement policy. FDA is not required and generally does not expect to give special notice that a drug product may be subject to enforcement action. So they don't even have to tell you, right, that it's subject to enforcement. It says, in the listing that follows, we clarify our general approach to prioritizing our enforcement and regulatory action with regard to homeopathic drug products marketed in the United States without the required FDA approval. However, this guidance is intended to provide notice that any homeopathic drug product that is being marketed illegally is subject to FDA enforcement action at any time. The FDA has identified certain categories of homeopathic drugs as potentially possessing higher risk to public health. We are prioritizing enforcement and regulatory action of the following categories. Okay, you ready for the categories?
Yep. Boy, this is, you know, isn't it just what a par for the course that at the time when we're being run over by fentanyl, methamphetamine, and legalization of marijuana, which by the way, I'm all for all this stuff. I'm for legalization of all of it, actually, and the elimination of the government intervention in medicine, period. But anyway, isn't it interesting that at the time when we're seeing greatly increased freedom in that arena, we're seeing greatly increased criminalization in this arena.
I want to ask our expert in January about this, because I was reading on some of the leading homeopathy websites, and they're talking about, well, there's never been a death from homeopathic medicine, but I've also seen news reports of like babies who presumably consumed a homeopathic product. You know, the parents gave them the homeopathic product and the child died. And it may have been from contamination, you know, they didn't actually say, you know, or it wasn't manufactured properly. So I'm seeing conflicting data, because I am seeing multiple news reports, you know, over the decades of them claiming that there has been injury and death. And in fact, in this FDA guidance, they do say that they feel it's time to start regulating these homeopathic remedies because of the potential risk. So if they say recent growth of safety concerns associated with some homeopathic drug products, and because of that, the FDA believes it's in the best interest of the public health to issue a new guidance that applies to risk-based enforcement approach to these drugs. So, but here's the thing, even if it is true, even if those news reports were true, that some people, a handful of people have died from homeopathic drugs, my question is, why does that warrant the government coming in and banning the entire practice of homeopathy, essentially? Because what's the third leading cause of death in America? Do you remember?
No, tell me.
The third leading cause of death in America is prescription drugs. So half of those deaths were from overdoses, but a full half of them were people who took the drug properly, according to what the medical doctor prescribed, and they still died. So we have possibly a handful of people over the decades who have died. And I'm saying possibly because this has not been verified. These are just news reports, right? That have died from something, contamination or, you know, whatever, from these homeopathic remedies. But on the flip side, what are they saying? They're telling you that in this document too, they're telling you that one reason why they want to regulate homeopathic remedies is because they feel like it prevents people from using prescription medications. So this is what they say in here. One of the categories of homeopathic medications that they're going to now, you know, crack down on is this one: products intended to be used for the prevention or treatment of serious and or life-threatening diseases or conditions. They say unapproved products for serious and or life-threatening diseases or conditions raise public health concerns, in part because they may cause users to delay or discontinue medical treatments that have been found safe and effective through the new drug application process. So what does this mean? It means that they're afraid that people who are really sick are going to start trying homeopathic medicines, and they're going to stop taking the prescription medications, even though the prescription medications are responsible for the third leading cause of death in America.
Yeah, well, it's a whole kind of identical argument for criminalizing raw milk, and we know that many of the alleged the alleged sicknesses from raw milk are actually not from raw milk. They're from other things, but but they don't recognize the other things in the data. Somebody is on death's door and they die from and they happen to have drunk raw milk. Well, they immediately finger raw milk instead of realizing that they had five serious problems otherwise, pneumonia and whatever. Wow, go ahead. Yeah, in other words, we have chosen our form, and if something competes with our formula, then we ban it.